Before we get started, I just want to clarify, because sometimes students aren't fully aware of the different ways things work for international students versus students that were born and raised here in the United States or have citizenship that they acquired later on. So the Fulbright U.S. Student Award, this is for American citizens or residents of the United States who are hoping to go abroad. So there are Fulbright awards for international students as well. But that's a different path. And if you are an international student, please feel free to reach out to me and we can try to work together on seeing what opportunities are available for you. But it's going to be a different path. So we do need to think about that as well. So just to clarify, if there is any international students, feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely here to support you. It's just going to be a different path. And if you're already in the United States, you're often not eligible to apply for a Fulbright. So if you are going to apply, sorry, my cat's a little loud right now. If you are going to apply for a Fulbright and you are an international student, you do need to be in a country that isn't in the United States, or that you need to be in a country not the United States. So you can't be in the US and be a student at CGU currently and then try to apply for a Fulbright. Most countries require that you're in their country to apply for the Fulbright to go to CGU. So that's a little complicated and it might be different depending on the country that you're from. But I just want to clarify, if you are an international student, reach out to me and we'll work together, but it's going to be a different pathway. Any questions about that before I move on?
Yes, I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
I just want to clarify this. So if I am, I'm a citizen of the United States,
Uh-huh.
and if I would like to apply to Fulbright, I would need to go to that country and actually work with another university, be there, or I'm a student here, obviously. So how, I'm not understanding that. Would I need to be at that during the research in that specific country?
No, so I'm just for students who aren't US citizens, there's a different path that we have to take for applying for Fulbright. So you wouldn't apply through the Fulbright US student program. You would apply for the Fulbright through that particular country that you're from. But if you're a US citizen, you don't need to be in the host country. You can apply while you're here in the United States. I'm just trying to clarify that sometimes there's international students at CGU who want to apply for Fulbright, but they do need to be in their own country before they apply for Fulbright. They can't already be a student at CGU and then try to apply for Fulbright. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does make sense. But we still need to choose the country, which means that we would need to do a research in that country.
That's correct, yes. And you'll need to find an affiliate in the country that will serve the person that will oversee your research.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So that will be three committee here and one there, or it will be two professors here and one there?
So it's not necessarily a professor, but your affiliate is somebody who's in the host country, either a person or an entity like a library or a university that is willing to say, like, we will oversee this project, or we are aware of this project and we will be there to support this individual while they're in this country. So that's a letter of an affiliate, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the next webinar that we're going to have. But if you're needing help with choosing a country, talking about affiliate stuff, trying to understand how the process works, we can meet one-on-one as well to discuss those components.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other quick questions? No? Okay. I know a lot of you have already started your applications, and I know there are also individuals who haven't started at all, and that's completely okay. Just feel free to reach out to me because I want to make sure that we get to the writing piece of the grant proposal today. But you're more than welcome to work with me, and we can talk together about country selection and all the little nuts and bolts of the application, because it is a lot. Just feel free to reach out to me and we can set up an appointment for that.
Quick question. Is this PowerPoint totally geared to writing the grant proposal?
That's correct, yeah.
Can we have this PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can email you a copy of it, John.
Okay.
Please, I would like to receive it too, Eva.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Email that to you.
Okay.
And if for some reason I miss you, just feel free to email me and I can get you a copy of it.
Okay.
Okay. So today's webinar is focusing on writing the Fulbright Statement of Grant Purpose. It's a lot of words. It's really just a document that's going to outline the research that you're going to conduct abroad. Just a quick overview again, there's several different Fulbright Awards out there. Many of you are aware of that. Most students from CGU are doing the Open Study or Research Award. That's to do research in a host country. Some people are wanting to study at a university in the host country. Not all who do research are going to also study. But that is something to keep in mind, is that most students at CGU, because you are a little bit more advanced, are likely not applying for the English teaching assistantship, which is to teach English abroad. But there are some students who are in education and that type of thing who are interested. But there are multiple different types of Fulbright awards out there. So make sure you're picking the one that fits you or is suited for you. And if you need help discussing or selecting which award you'd like to apply to, just feel free to reach out to me too. So today we're going to talk about the statement of grant purpose. So just to get started, I'm going to give you some information about what should be included. So this is a 2-page document. So unlike your personal statement, which is a 1-page document, this is a 2-page document, and it needs to outline the who, what, when, where, why, and how of what you're proposing to do in the host country. So you're really wanting to write a document that's outlining what is it that you want to do in the host country? Where do you want to do it? Who's going to support you with it? What is your methodology? How are you going to do it? And you really want to show that this project is feasible within the amount of time that you're allotted. So some Fulbright grants are 9 months, some are 10, some are 11. There are awards out there too that might be 2 years. So you just need to look at the grant and see how many months they give you and really stress that it's feasible to be conducted within that amount of time. Fulbright will not fund you if you have a project that doesn't seem feasible. So you want to really make sure that you're giving yourself enough time. I always recommend that, because a 9-month grant, it may seem like you can complete everything in 9 months, but a big project that you outline in 9 months isn't likely. It's difficult when you're trying to do a 9-month project in 9 months when you're in a host country. So try to think of it as like 5-6 months it's going to take you, because there's often travel involved. There's often things that go wrong. It might be difficult to get a hold of something or someone. You might not have access to technology that you're wanting. Things might go wrong. So don't try to plan a project that's going to take exactly 9 months. Try to make it a little smaller, something that's feasible that you can conduct maybe in 5 or 6 months.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. We're not talking about this fall, we're talking a year plus out. And sometimes people's projects change, like, so that the project you end up wanting to do while you're there is not the same project that you signed up for all the way back when you first applied.
Right. Yeah, that's
how does that work? Because like, I would like to do dissertation research, and I'm already have my dissertation proposal and people have read it. And so, but part of the issue is that I don't have enough resources, particularly faculty resources, where I'm at. And that's a reason for my going overseas. But from 1 year from now, I don't know where I'm going to be at with my dissertation project, meaning it could be partly written, mostly written, just needing to be fine-tuned, etc. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think I'll CC you. I think it's a good question to ask Fulbright. I do know for the English teaching assistantship, those fellowships also have a research component to it. And so when I was doing my research in Brazil, and others were doing their own projects, a lot of us changed projects and there was no problem with that. So I would say that it's probably not going to be an issue. But again, this Fulbright is specifically for research. So I think that's a great question and we can reach out to Fulbright to double check with them. It's very normal for projects to change, your questions to change. Even when we apply to grad school, I'm sure a lot of you are not studying what you wrote in your personal statement. So it's very common, but that's a great question and we can ask Fulbright. Any other questions? No. John, did you have another question?
Yeah, how detailed do we need to be in writing this, and how versus how open-ended can we be with, you know, we have a topic, but there could be various components to it. This is kind of a follow-up to what I just asked. And if you're gonna go into it, maybe you don't need to answer the question now.
Yeah, when you say like detailed, what do you mean by that? Like, should
Well, are you supposed to name specific individuals at that potential institution? Are you naming, itemizing all the specifics of what you want to, what your project as you studying and or writing on?
you want to be as specific as possible. So you do want to include names of people that you're going to be working with or institutions that you're going to be working at or museums or wherever you're going to be doing your research. So you do want to be specific when it comes to that. But at the same time, you want it to be able, you want the person who picks up what you're proposing to be able to read and understand what you're trying to communicate. So it should be readable, but it also should be very specific to your field, specific to the research that you're doing, who you're doing it with, where you're doing it, specifically what you want to do and why. And you want to show how is this going to benefit the country as a whole, as well as build that relationship between the United States and your host country. So you do want to be as specific as you can be, but at the same time, you want to avoid using jargon and things that might not be understood by someone if they just picked up your paper. So you do want to be a little bit general in the way that you're describing things, but you want to be specific in outlining the project as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. So before even starting though, you want to make sure that you understand the award being offered. So there are country-specific awards, and in those awards that are being offered in a particular country, they may be wanting to give a Fulbright to a particular type of student, like a student in economics or a student in public policy. So not every country is going to be looking for the same candidate. Countries have their own goals when they're looking for people to be Fulbright winners. So making sure that you do align or your field of study aligns with what the country is looking for. So look at the candidate profile and make sure that you would fit into that category. And triple check too that you have the language ability. So certain countries have language requirements. There are countries that are English only speaking, which you can apply for, but many countries that have Fulbrights, you do need to have language abilities in the particular language, so triple check. And also when you're proposing your research proposal, or when you're submitting your proposal, make sure, because some countries you do need to have the language in order to conduct the research, and then in other countries, they don't require that language requirement. So just make sure, does my research project need to be in another language or can it be done in English? So that's something also to clarify, which you can do by looking at the Fulbright US Student Program website and looking at the country's requirements. Oops. So again, when you're proposing your project, you're going to want to talk about with whom do you propose to work with? What do you propose to do? Why is this an interesting topic? Ask yourself, what are your goals? What are your methodologies? How are you going to conduct this research? Why is this project important or significant? You also want to ask yourself, why is it that I want to do this project in this particular country? You want to show Fulbright that this project needs to be done in this place. And if I can't do it in this place, like the project won't get done. So you want to show that it's really important that you're placed in a particular country, and really show its importance not only to your life goals, but also towards building that relationship between the United States and the host country. Okay. So again, Fulbright really cares about developing cultural exchange and mutual understanding between the United States and the country that you're going to be in. So you really want to stress overall, how is this going to benefit the country that you're in, as well as benefit the United States, as well as build that mutual understanding between the two countries. You want to include a rough timeline of when you'll carry out the project. So again, don't bite off more than you can chew. You really want to make sure that the project is feasible, because if the project is not feasible, they will not consider your project at all. So you want to make sure that you can complete the project in the time that you're given. Let's see, we talked about where. Make sure you're discussing why this project is important, maybe to your dissertation. It might be important for a project that you're working on in the lab. Related also to your future goals. Where do you see yourself going? How is this project going to help you achieve your own individual goals? That's really important to stress as well. You also want to talk about what your qualifications are for carrying out the project. So talk about what you study, what is your background, what makes you particularly a good candidate to study this particular topic in that country. Again, we talked about making sure you stress why it's important that you conduct this research in that country, and then talk about how it's going to further your academic or professional development. You can also, it's a good idea to talk about how will this research that you're doing, how are you going to engage in the community while you're working on this research? Are you going to talk about what you're researching at events? Are you going to put on events and share this information with people around you? It's really important to think about not just your own research, but how are you building community and connection? That's a really big goal of Fulbright. So again, I'm going to stress it one more time. You need to design a feasible project. It can't be too long. You can't go back. You want to be able to do it within, I would say, 6 months, maybe 6 to 7, but give yourself a little bit of time to adjust to the country that you're in. You can also consider talking about how the culture and politics of the host country might impact the work. Think about, will the resources of the host country support your project? Not even country, but like, don't just think about the country, but think about maybe the city that you're placed in. For example, like I worked in Rio and I had pretty good access to internet. But a lot of my friends who were out in the Amazon, that type of access to internet just wasn't feasible. So making sure your project is feasible, that you have access to what you need, and stating that clearly in your statement is important. You want to talk about your relationship with your affiliate in the host country, or your person that they can be an advisor, but they don't necessarily have to be someone that's overseeing the project, but they have to be someone who's familiar with the project and is able to be there if you need guidance. It doesn't have to even be a professor. It can be a library, it can be an NGO, it can be some sort of group of people who are working abroad or who are abroad, who are willing to say, okay, for the next 9 months, I will be available to you if you need me. But they don't always need to directly be involved in the research. You want to, again, stress your academic background, previous research you can discuss. You really want to show that this is something that you have been working on for a while or something that you have been passionate about. I think in one of the webinars, one of the Fulbrighters talked about the importance of stressing your passion for this topic. They really like to fund people who show that this matters to the person a lot and also will benefit the greater world. So really showing your passion in your proposal is really important. Again, it's good to also mention if you have sufficient language skills. So it's good to mention if you're fluent in Portuguese or fluent in something, or you've taken coursework in French, for example, to prepare yourself in order to conduct this research in French. It's important to show that you have the ability to navigate the country on your own, or at least have the skills or the prerequisites in order to conduct the research. It'll say next to the language requirement under each country what they're looking for. Sometimes it's novice, sometimes it's intermediate, sometimes it's advanced skills in the language. So just make sure you have those requirements. And if you don't, you want to show how you're actually working this year towards that goal. So maybe you're not an intermediate speaker of Portuguese, but you're a novice speaker, showing that you're able to take some courses this year and work on those skills to help you. Yep, I just went over that. It's really important that you run your project by your advisor here at CGU. So I'm not well-versed in all fields, and so I'm not going to fully understand some of your projects, which is perfectly fine. I can guide you through how to structure your proposal, but I'm not going to fully understand everything you're trying to study. So it's really important. Let me let someone in. It's really important that you run this by your advisor at CGU, because they are going to let you know whether or not that project is feasible. They're going to help you make adjustments to your methodologies, maybe even come up with a research question if you don't have one. They should be there to support you through this process as well. So even before you've written it, it's good to meet with them to run your ideas by them and then put it all on paper and then show them a rough draft, make some corrections, show it to me, show it to friends in your field, and then give it back to them. You do want to work with your advisor through this as well, not just me. We will skip this. So you need to adhere to the proper format. It's going to be 2 pages. It's single spaced. Don't include any bibliographies, publication citations, unless they can fit in the page limit. So there are people who have like a footer, which is totally fine because it fits in the 2-page limit. But otherwise, you don't want to go over the 2-page limit. So if you can include citations, you're welcome to. It just needs to be in those 2 pages. 1-inch margins, Times New Roman, 12-point font. This is the way that it's going to be structured on the top as your header. So you're going to write statement of grant purpose, then your name, your host country and field of study. And then on the 3rd line, your project title as it appears in the program information page of your Fulbright application. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually give you guys, what time is it? We got a little bit of time. I'm just going to give you guys about 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes, and I want you to identify a country. It doesn't have to be the country of your choice, like we don't have to pick today. So if you haven't picked your country, that's completely okay. And what we're gonna do, let's see. So you're just gonna go to the US Student Fulbright Program homepage, and you're gonna look at countries. So you'll click on the countries tab. And I just want you to pick a country. So I'm interested in Canada this year. Oops. Why am I spacing? Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick a country and then you're gonna click on the research award. If you're not applying for a research award, can you let me know? I know some of you are applying to study as well, but is there anyone that's not applying to some sort of research award? No.
What's the
I
difference
would-
between
I would-
open study and research? That's where I'm not clear.
So there's open study, which is to study at a university. So you would do like a year or two of study at a university, which often has a research component attached to it, but not always. And then there's research only, where you're just going abroad to do a research project. You're not going to study at a university.
I have a question on that.
Mhm.
So something is pulled up for the United Kingdom,
Mhm.
and it also lists the specific university, and it says one university award. It's actually says first year of master's or doctoral student in any discipline at that specific university. So I'm not the first year. And so the question is whether I could even study at that university under a research award, because it just lists, it almost sounds like a special study / research award, but it's looking for a first year master's or doctoral student.
Can you tell me which one it is? The United Kingdom's a little tricky, so we may have.
I can send you the page exactly.
Okay, yeah, I can look at it.
I'm doing that now. I talked about it with Marcus a little bit, but
if anyone else is applying to the United Kingdom, I'd highly recommend meeting with me one-on-one, because it's a little bit tricky. And we have to kind of work together on figuring out all the steps, because it is different than the other countries.
okay, I just sent that to you now.
Okay. I'll
Um,
look at it.
I just put EE in the subject.
Oh, are you so you're talking about the one award that's offered in the United Kingdom that isn't at a university? Is that what you're? Oh, it's Durham University.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like the way you're calling study versus research. It looks like they're considering that a study, because it's like a first year master's or doctoral student type award, rather than like a research grant to study your own.
Yeah. So some of the awards are just study only without a research piece to it. And some of them have a research piece to it. And then some of them are just research only. So it's important to figure out which award this one is, or all of your awards.
And is this the only one in Great Britain?
I would have to check.
Because that would seem like not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like what about Cambridge or Oxford or a lot of other places? They have a lot of universities. I'm at a different page and I see one for Cardiff, Wales, Imperial College London, etc.
Yeah, so the United Kingdom is set up a little differently in that they have one award per university. They don't have like 10 awards for the country itself. It's very university specific. So you're applying, but there's only going to be one award offered per university. Regarding your Great Britain question, I don't know. I don't know the United Kingdom very well, so I would have to like even figure out which of these universities are in Great Britain.
Well,
but
all these are on here. I'm going to send you another page, but I don't.
John, can I jump in here? Because I have a friend who, that we know, that a lot of us know in England. She just retired from Winchester University. I could put you in contact with her and she might be able to give you some advice on that if you want.
Well, if she knows, but the Fulbright would be a specific type of information.
Right, exactly. But I could just reach out to her and see if she has that kind of information and then put you in touch with her if she does.
Sure,
help.
that sounds good.
So
I just sent you that page that lists multiple British universities or in Great Britain.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, we can definitely, John, you and I can definitely meet together to figure that out. If you want to set up a one-on-one meeting, we can talk about it. It is going to be a little bit trickier for the United Kingdom, so we can definitely work on that together. It's just going to take me some time to read through all of it.
all right, I'll do that.
Okay, yeah.
I'll send you an email to set up a meeting.
Yeah, that sounds good. Does everyone, is there another question?
yeah, I guess my question is just that, once we read over what our country's requirements are or what they have, could we just meet with you and go over it and just kind of see what might be specific that we could put into our proposal that would help kind of?
You're always welcome to do that. Every country and every award is a little bit different. So I don't have all 300 different awards or whatever out there, 1,200, I think, memorized. So we do need to sit down and kind of look at them. I just want you guys to pick a country and think about the research project that you're hoping to propose. It doesn't have to be the right country today. It doesn't have to be the right project. We're just going to go through a writing exercise today just to kind of practice. But if you do have country specific questions, it's going to take me a little while to look through everything to make sure I'm guiding you correctly. So just reach out to me and we can set up a meeting to talk about it.
I have a question. When I look at the country I'm considering, it said Fulbright Commission / US Embassy website. How is the US Embassy connected?
How is the US Embassy connected to Fulbright?
In your application process, how is the US Embassy connected?
That's a good question. They're definitely involved in your application because you're going through the United States State Department when you're getting this award. So there is connections there. I just don't know exactly how they're involved, but it is a US State Department award. So they are connected.
Would they help you find an affiliate? Like, say there's an institution I'm interested in that I visited many years ago. So probably not anyone that I may have encountered work there anymore, because we're talking a couple decades ago. So would if I'm looking to get an affiliate, would I kind of cold call with an email to that institution? Or would it be to my benefit to work with the embassy because maybe they have feet on the ground, local contacts that are more robust?
Yeah, I just created a document on how to find an affiliate and I can send that to you.
Okay.
We're going to go over that in the next webinar, but
Okay.
to find an affiliate, you really do have to get creative. So
Okay.
I've never thought about contacting the embassy, but that might be a great option. I would consider it and see what happens when you contact them. You can contact a university, you can contact a professor directly. It's always important to try to find a way to show that you're connected to them somehow. So if you know a professor who's friends with another professor, or at least read their research to show that you've read their work and kind of show why like my work also aligns with your work. And so we should work together because we're on the same page, and just kind of creating that connection is important. I also recommend like going to conferences and listening to people and seeing if there's somebody that would be a good affiliate for you.
One last thing on that, if I'm speaking about an institution rather than a university, along those same lines, go deep in the content and how they're out there in the world, and maybe find who those people are, or
yeah, you can reach out to the institution or an NGO. You can also reach out to Fulbright ambassadors or former Fulbright winners who have won a Fulbright. I think I've shown some of you. So if you went back to the Fulbright website, if you go up to here and you go to grantee directory, you can search former Fulbright winners. I don't know why it's stuck. 1 second. Am I frozen? No.
I was able to get to that link through my, it says Fulbright grantee directory, and then there's options on top to filter.
Yeah, I'm having trouble clicking on it for some reason, but if you click on the grantee directory, you can filter it by country, and it'll show you all the winners who have gone to that particular country. And then you can Google their name and you can find their contact information and say, hi, I'm really interested in doing a Fulbright in this particular country. Like, do you know someone I can speak with? And then you can build contacts that way as well.
And I'm seeing with just a quick click that it also says what their field of study was, because my other concern is I get all spun up and excited, put all this time into something that's already been done. So, you know, how do I mitigate all of that sweat equity for not, you know, kind of, so seeing if someone already did something like that may, you know, make me refine my idea or move in a different direction. So
yeah, I think that's helpful. You can also Google like Fulbright winner public policy Ecuador or something like that, and then see if anything comes up. And then also look at LinkedIn. If you find someone, see if you can find them on LinkedIn and connect that way. There's many different ways to do it. You just have to get really creative and kind of dig. So, Elizabeth?
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering if we wanted to access this Zoom webinar, the one that's been recorded today. Will we get a link for that, or?
Yeah, so it will get uploaded soon. And then I think it'll be put on, I know it'll be on our Canvas page, which
Okay.
we're working on building that out right now.
Okay.
But I could also try to send you a link if you need.
Yeah, I would love it, because you were saying so many good things and I gave up taking notes about halfway through.
No, it's okay. You're welcome to also just schedule a meeting with me. I highly recommend everyone just meet with me for half an hour, and we can talk directly about your specific
Perfect.
questions.
And what is your actual email? Are you at CGU or at the Center for Writing and Rhetoric?
I'm at CGU, so here, I'll just start it again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'm gonna share this writing exercise. Give me 1 second. You can do this on a piece of paper, or you can just do it on your computer. We're gonna make a mind map. So I don't want you to think about all the nitty gritty stuff of what you're going to be doing, but I just want you kind of to generally write down what you want to do, where do you want to do it, who do you want to do it with, when is it going to take place, over how many months, how are you going to do it. Just pick one idea right now. So I know a lot of us have 3,000 or 3,000 different ideas that we'd like to do abroad. Just pick one that you're interested in for your research, and then we will talk about it. I'm gonna give you, is 8 minutes okay? Sound okay? I know it's a little fast, but we're running out of time. So I'll just give you 8 minutes and then we'll go around quickly and just kind of share where we're at today. Elizabeth, did you have another question or is your hand still up?
Oh, no, it was still up.
Okay, no problem. Any questions?
Who, what, where, and what else?
Who, what, where, how, when, why. I think that's all of them, all the WH questions. So just kind of outline what is the project that you're wanting to do? Why do you want to do it? How are you going to do it? Who's going to work with you if you're going to have someone work with you? And just write out, like, it doesn't have to be in paragraph form. It could just be some notes on a piece of paper or on your computer. Just kind of put some ideas down as to where you're wanting to go. This is just kind of to help you, give you a little bit of a direction as to what you're wanting to do. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys 8 minutes, but I'll be here. If you need to talk to me, just
Can I quickly interject and ask about the how question? Is that more about like how do I plan to research this, or how do I plan to like assimilate into the place I'm going or something like? Well, I'm not quite sure on that.
it's more like how you're going to do it. So how am I going to explain that? It's more like,
Is that like the kind of part of the where also, like I plan to go to these museums or these libraries? Is that part of it?
yeah. So like, for example, like in psychology, like our how would be like, I'm going to do a qualitative study and I'm going to interview 40 people. Or I'm going to do surveys and then I'm going to collect all the data. For people that aren't in
So
psychology,
it's the framework.
yeah, it's the framework. So like if you're going to study, you want to read a book or something, the how you're going to do it is I'm going to go to this particular library and get my hands on those materials that I want to use.
Cool, cool. All right, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else? Okay, let's give everyone like 5 to 8 minutes or so, just some quiet time. So I'll give you guys a few minutes and then I'll check back in with you. So we're kind of running out of time today because we had a lot of questions, but in the next webinar that we're having, it's going to be 2 hours long and it's going to be focused on writing. So don't feel like you need to rush through this. We're here to help you guys for next week as well, and you can work with me if you'd like. This is just to kind of jot down some ideas. We'll work on this a little bit more because we're going to try to expand your ideas into a 2-page document over time. So we'll get to the writing it out a little bit more in the future. I just want you during this week, if you haven't finished yet, which you probably haven't, just sit down and try to map out that mind map and try to finish it and then bring it to the next event next week. Does that make sense?